Hello, Patriots. Welcome back to the Conservative Crows, where we discuss the current government's actions and policies that we believe are detrimental to our constitutional republic and the American way of life. Today I want to talk about the recent legal challenges to former President Donald Trump's eligibility to run for office in 2024, focusing on the case of Illinois, where a judge ruled that Trump should be removed from the state's primary ballot under the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I will explain what the 14th Amendment is, why some people argue that Trump violated it by inciting the January 6, 2021, Capitol riot, and how this affects the right to vote and the principle of free and fair elections. I will also discuss how the Democrats and Republicans feel about this issue, how the Supreme Court is hearing arguments on a similar case from Colorado, and how this could set a dangerous precedent for future elections and undermine our constitutional republic. So let's get started. First, let me give you some background information. The 14th Amendment is one of the amendments that was passed after the Civil War to protect the rights of former slaves and other citizens. It has several sections, but the one that is relevant here is Section 3, which says, "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath, as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof." This section was originally intended to prevent former Confederates from holding office after the Civil War, but some people argue that it also applies to Trump because he allegedly incited the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol, which was an attempt to stop Congress from certifying the election results that gave Joe Biden the victory. They say that Trump violated his oath to support the Constitution, and that he engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. government or gave aid or comfort to those who did. As you may know, Trump is the clear front-runner for the Republican nomination, despite losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden and being impeached twice by the House of Representatives. He still has a loyal base of supporters who want him to run again and reclaim the White House. However, he also faces a lot of opposition, not only from Democrats, but also from some Republicans who blame him for the January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol. Trump is facing several legal challenges to his eligibility to run for president again, based on his alleged role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Some people argue that he violated the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which bars anyone who has engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. from holding office. Others argue that he committed crimes while in office that make him unfit to serve. They are also ignoring the fact that Trump has not been indicted nor convicted of any crime related to the Capitol attack. Also, President Trump instructed people to march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, never giving any type of order to riot or cause violence.
We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Today we will see whether Republicans stand strong for integrity of our elections, but whether or not they stand strong for our country.
And we must remember that he still enjoys the presumption of innocence. Moreover, they are disregarding the will of millions of Americans who support Trump and want him to run again. So far, 3 states have removed Trump from their primary ballots: Colorado, Maine, and now the third state, Illinois. These are all blue states that voted for Biden in 2020 and are unlikely to vote for Trump in 2024. However, they are also setting a dangerous precedent that could affect the future of our constitutional republic. Colorado and Maine did this based on the 14th Amendment argument, while Illinois did this based on a state law that disqualifies candidates who have been impeached by the House of Representatives. Trump has appealed these decisions to the U.S. Supreme Court, which has agreed to hear his case in April. Now, since Illinois is the most recent state to remove Donald Trump from their ballot, let's discuss what happened. In Illinois, a group of voters challenged Trump's eligibility to be on the Republican primary ballot, which is scheduled for March 19. They argued that the Illinois State Board of Elections, which is responsible for certifying the ballot, had a duty to enforce the 14th Amendment and remove Trump's name. The board, however, rejected their challenge, saying that it did not have the authority to do so, and that the issue was a matter of federal law, not state law. The board also said that there was no clear and convincing evidence that Trump engaged in insurrection or rebellion, or gave aid or comfort to the enemies of the U.S. The voters then appealed to the Circuit Court of Cook County, where Judge Tracy Porter heard the case. On February 28, 2024, she issued a ruling that overturned the board's decision, and ordered that Trump's name be removed from the ballot. She said that she was convinced by the evidence that Trump violated the 14th Amendment, and that the board had the power and the duty to enforce it. She cited Trump's speech to his supporters on January 6, where he repeated false claims of election fraud, urged them to fight like hell, and said that he would never concede. She also cited the violent actions of the rioters, who breached the Capitol, clashed with the police, threatened lawmakers, and disrupted the electoral process. She said that these events constituted an insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. government, and that Trump gave aid or comfort to those who participated in it. She also rejected the board's argument that this was a federal issue, not a state issue. She said that the 14th Amendment applies to both federal and state offices, and that the board had the authority to enforce it under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, which requires states to ensure that only eligible voters are registered to vote. She said that the board had the responsibility to protect the integrity of the ballot, and to prevent ineligible candidates from appearing on it. She acknowledged, however, that her ruling was likely to be appealed, and that it could conflict with the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on a similar case from Colorado, which is expected soon. She therefore stayed her order until Friday, March 1, to allow time for an appeal to the Illinois Appellate or Supreme Court. She also said that if the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling is inconsistent with hers, she would abide by it. These states are clearly motivated by partisan politics, and not by the rule of law. They are trying to silence Trump and his supporters, and to prevent him from challenging Biden in 2024. They are afraid of his popularity and his influence, and they want to stop him by any means necessary. By removing Trump from the ballot, these states are interfering with the election process and denying the voters the right to choose the candidate of their preference. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter? Well, it matters a lot, because it could have a huge impact on the election and the voters' rights. Let me explain. First of all, removing Trump from the ballot could affect the Republican nomination process. Trump is still the most popular and influential figure in the GOP, and he has a loyal base of supporters who want him to run again. If he is not on the ballot, his supporters might feel disenfranchised and demoralized, and they might not vote for anyone else. This could hurt the chances of the Republican Party to win the election, or even to keep control of Congress. Second, removing Trump from the ballot could affect the general election. Even if Trump is not the Republican nominee, he could still run as an independent or a write-in candidate. This could split the Republican vote and give an advantage to the Democratic candidate, who is likely to be President Joe Biden. On the other hand, if Trump is on the ballot, he could energize his base and mobilize them to vote for him and other Republicans. This could make the election more competitive and unpredictable. Third, removing Trump from the ballot could affect the future of our constitutional republic. This is a very unprecedented and controversial move, and it raises a lot of questions about the balance of power between the states and the federal government, and between the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Some people argue that the states have the right to decide who can run for office in their jurisdiction, and that they are protecting the Constitution and the rule of law by disqualifying Trump. Others argue that the states are violating the Constitution and the voters' rights by denying them the opportunity to choose their candidate, and that they are setting a dangerous precedent that could be used to exclude other candidates in the future. So, what do the Democrats and Republicans think about this? Well, as you can imagine, they have very different opinions. Democrats generally support the state's decisions to remove Trump from the ballot, and they hope that the Supreme Court will uphold them. They believe that Trump is a threat to democracy and that he should be held accountable for his actions. They also think that removing Trump from the ballot will make it easier for Biden to win the election and to advance his agenda. Republicans, on the other hand, generally oppose the state's decisions to remove Trump from the ballot, and they hope that the Supreme Court will overturn them. They believe that Trump is the rightful leader of the GOP and that he deserves a chance to run again. They also think that removing Trump from the ballot will disenfranchise millions of voters and undermine the legitimacy of the election and the government. So, what do I think about this? Well, I believe that this is a very complicated and divisive issue, and that there is no easy answer. I believe that this is not how a free and fair election should work. This is not how a constitutional republic should operate. This is not how we protect our democracy, and in fact this is how we undermine it. It shows, in my opinion, how our country is moving closer to a communist system where a party in power will stay in power by removing their opposition at any cost, even if it means breaking the law, and disregarding our Constitution. That's why the Supreme Court must intervene and overturn these state rulings. The Supreme Court is the ultimate arbiter of constitutional questions, and it has the duty to uphold the rights of the candidates and the voters. The Supreme Court has already agreed to hear Trump's appeal of the Colorado ruling, and it is expected to do the same for the other states. The Supreme Court must act quickly and decisively and restore Trump's name on the ballot. In conclusion, this is not about whether you like Trump or not. This is not about whether you agree with his policies or not. This is about whether you respect the Constitution and the democratic process. This is about whether you believe in the freedom of choice and the voice of the people. And if you want to protect America and your way of life, your rights and freedoms, and keeping our government in check. Well, that's all I have for today. Stay informed and let your voices be heard. If you agree we have to take steps to protect our voting rights, our freedoms, our Constitution, and our country, then contact your local and federal representatives and let them know that you want these things protected and honored. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Keep the discussion going in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.